Welcome back, and thank you for joining me again. Adaptability. Oh man, that's a real big one, man. Adaptability, you know, and that's very important. It's a very important word for people that are planning on moving overseas. You know, yeah, that's going to be your adaptability is going to be one of the keys to your survival as an expat. All right. And whether or not you can make it living in another country. And I'm going to give you an example of that. A few days ago, the stove and the oven in my apartment suddenly stopped working. You know, it's an electric stove and oven, you know, and it just suddenly went out and just stopped working, you know. I contacted my Airbnb host, you know, told him what the deal was and stuff. He said he'll take care of it right away. All right, he said, he got back to me, he said, Monday, somebody's gonna be there at 10 o'clock Monday to take care of the stove and fix it and everything. So I said, all right, that's good. Monday's fine, you know, saying I'm gonna be home, no big deal. All right, so yesterday was Monday, you know, 10 o'clock came and went. Nobody contacted me, nobody, you know, and nobody came, you know what I'm saying? I waited and waited, you know. And so this morning, I contacted my Airbnb host and was like, you know, look what happened yesterday. Nobody came to fix the stove, you know. And so he told me, he said, I'm sorry, I thought somebody had came, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I didn't know that nobody came over there. So he said, I'll look into it and I'll get back to you and let you know what's going on. All right, so now here it is Tuesday afternoon. I still haven't really heard anything, right? Now, am I upset about that? Yeah, I am. You know what I'm saying? I need to get my stove fixed, you know? You know, but there's a part of me that's not bothered because of adaptability, you know? I know Colombia very well, you know. Saying my first time visiting here, you know, saying I've been in this country many years, you know, many visits, and now living here. So one thing I do know about Colombia is that service is very slow here, you know. This is not a place where you can expect to get customer service right away, things taken care of. You know, here in Colombia, there is no sense of urgency with anything, you know. They get to you when they get to you, you know what I'm saying? And so, fortunately, I've been able to adapt, you know, to the way things are in this country, you know. And I'm not one of those people that expects everything to, you know, happen the same as it does in the United States, you know, because it just doesn't work that way here. You know, when I'm from New Jersey, all right, so 2016 I left New Jersey and I moved to Dallas, and that was quite an adjustment for me moving from New Jersey to Dallas, living in Texas, because yeah, people operate at a slower pace in the southern parts of the United States. They don't move that, you know, like they do in New Jersey and in New York, you know what I'm saying, where there's more of a sense of urgency and things got to get done right away. You know, everybody expects, you know, fast service. And so, yeah, I had to get adjusted to living in Dallas and things moving differently. So now, 8 years after living in Dallas, now I moved to Colombia, to another country, you know, and things are even worse when it comes to, you know, things, you know, moving at a slower pace, you know what I'm saying? And service being different, you know. Yeah, Colombia moves even slower than Dallas. Yeah, there's no sense of urgency at all here, you know. So now, fortunately, like I said, I'm a well-traveled guy, and I'm just used to things being different. I'm not one of those people that says, "Oh, well, in the United States we do this," you know what I'm saying? And we do that in America, you know. Yeah, you know, I'm not like that. I know that things are going to be different in different places. But for the people that are like that, you know, there are some people that completely different. You know, some people, when they go to different places, they expect everything to be the same all around. You know, when they go to a foreign country, they expect everything to be the same as it is in the United States. You know, and they'll go to another country and they'll say, well, you know, in America we do this, you know, and over in America this is the way it is there, you know, and they just don't get that you're not in America no more, you're in another country. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect people to move the same way. It's just not going to work that way, you know, in other countries. You have to be able to adapt to a whole nother environment, a whole nother country, a whole nother culture. People are just completely different. They're not going to jump and do things the same way that you're used to in the United States. They're going to operate at a different pace. They're going to have a different way of, you know, just a whole different way of doing things, you know. So if you are planning on moving to another country, you know, and, you know, you have that expat dream, you know what I'm saying? You want to leave it all behind. You want to leave the United States and, you know, you want to try what it's like overseas. Yeah, you're going to have that ability to adapt, you know. The food is going to be different in another country. You got to adapt to eating different types of food. You're going to have to adapt to certain things not being available in the store that you might be used to seeing, you know. You're going to have to adapt to, you know, obviously dealing with people speaking another language all the time, you know. That's going to be an adjustment for you, you know. And people are not going to automatically just, you know, change up and start speaking English because they're not going to be able to. Yeah, so you're going to have to be able to adjust to that and figure out a way to communicate with people in another country. And like I said, the service is going to be different when you go places, you know. Yeah, you're not going to get the same customer service you got in America, you know. They're going to move a little bit differently, you know. It's going to be maybe slower, quite possibly, you know. So all of these things you're going to have to adapt to. You know, you're going to have to adapt to the way certain things work as far as like, you know, different machinery you might use, you know what I'm saying? It could be the washer machine might be different, you know. The traffic might move different when you ride around. Yeah, all these, there's so many things you gotta adapt to and get used to in another country as opposed to in the United States. And you're gonna have to be somebody that can get used to those things and be able to just, you know, just move on with life every day. And, you know, it's just something that's different, you know. You can't be somebody in another country and you're getting upset because, hey, you know, why are they doing this way? In America, we don't do that. So, you know, so you just can't be that type of person, you know. You're just gonna have to get used to it. And you may have to get used to doing it the way that people in another country do it, you know what I'm saying? That's why it's important to learn the language of the country you plan on moving to. You know, that'll help your adaptability, you know, when you learn how to communicate with people. Like I said, that slow service is going to have to start being something that doesn't bother you anymore, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I need my stove to get fixed. I need to be able to cook my food and everything. But for right now, I'm just going to have to be able to just deal with waiting till whenever they come by to fix that stove, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the way things operate here in Colombia, you know? And the sooner you're able to adapt to things and not let little small things bother you, the better things will be for you, you know, when you live in another country, you know. But if you can't find any kind of way to adapt to things, you're going to be somebody that that just won't be able to survive in that country, won't be able to deal with it, and you'll probably end up being somebody who eventually has to end up moving back to the United States, you know what I'm saying, because you just can't adapt to the way things are in another country, you know. And yeah, that does happen to a lot of expats. Yeah, they just can't figure it out, you know, and they just can't accept the way things are in the country that they live in, you know. They can't get past that, you know, it's not like this in the United States, you know. And, you know, that's how a lot of expats fail, and they end up having to leave and go back home, you know. So that is the key to your survival as an expat when you decide to move overseas, is your adaptability. You know, how well are you going to be able to adapt to a new country and a new culture, you know, and people, you know, just being different. Yeah, so you know, appreciate you joining me again. You know, please like and share the video, and appreciate your support subscribing to the channel. All right, it's the old head broad KJ Mack, and I'll see you the next time.